we've all been clamoring for this kind of legislation for a very, very long time. I'm stunned by some of the words that we're hearing on the other side of the aisle. Where is their outrage over the slaughter of 19 fourth graders and their 2 teachers? Why don't they feel an urgency to do something? One of the children recounted how she took the blood of her dead friend lying near her and smeared herself with that blood to pretend to be dead. What have we taught our children? This is on our watch. Where is the outrage?
Powerful words and raw emotion from Democratic Congresswoman Madeleine Dean will be on this show a little later today. And today's House Judiciary Committee hearing on gun violence, slamming Republicans for standing in the way of gun reforms that are in poll after poll supported by vast majorities of the American public. Just shortly after Congresswoman Dean spoke, one of her Republican colleagues, Florida Congressman Greg Steube, who is appearing remotely from his home, brandished several guns and magazines while discussing his opposition to the package of gun reforms Democrats are hoping to put together. Stay classy there, Congressman. Joining our conversation is a different congressman, Democratic Congressman Ted Deutsch, also a member of the Judiciary Committee, also from Florida, represents Parkland, where a gunman, of course, killed 19 people at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in 2018. Congressman, good to see you. I think a lot of people will ask this question. We'll talk about what's in the bill you guys are working on today in a second, but there will be a lot of people who will say, like, really, who cares? Because there's really nothing in this bill that's ever going to get passed, given the state of the Senate. Do you guys feel as though, for some reason, that your work, while making an important statement, actually has a chance of going anywhere? Or is it really just about making that statement?
Well, it can't go anywhere unless it passes the House first, right? Look, I spent part of the afternoon, I've been in the hearing, the markup all day, but I spent part of the afternoon reconnecting with the March for Our Lives kids. And let's remember that this is not just a game that's played in Washington. This is about the future of our country and kids who are just tired of seeing people die next to them in schools, who are afraid to go to school, parents who are afraid to drop their kids off at school. We've got to show them that we can act so that when they take to the streets, as they're going to do again, there is something for them to pressure the Senate to move on.
Right. So here's we'll put up some of the elements in this package, the Democratic package that the House Dems worked on today, raising the age for buying semi-automatic rifles from 18 to 21, banning the import, sale, making, or possession of high-capacity magazines, increasing the penalties for gun trafficking and straw purchases, building on the ATF's ban on bump stocks and ghost guns. Those are all policies that I think we know a lot of Americans support, ones that all seem perfectly sensible to me. I didn't mean to be cynical, Congressman, when I raised it before, but I think it is the case that knowing where the Republicans in the Senate are, that there's no openness to most of those proposals. I would say maybe to all of them. And I'm kind of trying to ask the political question of what can House Democrats do and what can all Democrats do to try to make those proposals that you guys have been working on, make those more palatable or put pressure, as you just suggested, on Republican senators. Is there something that you guys can do that's different? Because it's obviously a lot of strategies have been tried over the last 20 years and none of them have gone anywhere.
Yeah, you have to take it out of Washington. None of these things are controversial, as you point out. None of these things are controversial except under the Capitol dome. I mean, think about it. The background check bill, all we're saying is if you've got a violent history, then we'd like to know because you don't have the right to buy a gun. That's how we're going to keep our community safe. That's the background checks bill. The things in this bill, raising the age from 18 to 21, would have stopped these mass shootings. Some of these mass shootings would have done it. Moving forward to make sure that if you've got guns in your house and kids in your house, that you actually store the guns safely to help keep those kids safe or prevent kids from taking guns to school. Again, it's common sense It's what most people want us to do. This has to be something. This has to be a battle that's waged from the outside. When we pass this today and mark it up and send it off to the full House, and next week when the House passes it out, all of a sudden there's going to be something for people to look at, and they're going to say, wait a second, that seems pretty responsible. We're going to limit magazine size. Why? So that if there's a mass shooter, that mass shooter has to change magazines, which gives people the opportunity to step in and stop the killing. It all makes so much sense, and it's so realistic. And I'll just say one last thing. After the Parkland shooting in my community, the state of Florida, which is hardly known to be a progressive center of America, raised the age to buy a gun to 21 and put in place red flag laws to help make sure that people who are at risk of harming themselves or others don't have access to firearms. Those are really important steps. That's been used over 5,000 times since it's been implemented. So we know that this can get done. We know that there is a whole generation of young people who got involved in politics because of what they saw coming out of Parkland, and they see what happened in Uvalde. They see what happened in Buffalo. They know that they are at risk everywhere they go, and they're getting re-engaged in a really serious way. That's how this is going to change.
I showed Congressman Stubbe earlier brandishing his weaponry in the middle of this hearing. One of your fellow Floridians, as you point out, not necessarily the most great hotbed of progressivism, as that congressman demonstrates. But there's actually a worse one today, Louis Gohmert. And I almost always hesitate to play Louis Gohmert anywhere. But this was so outrageous and disgusting that I felt like it was worth giving some airtime to. So let's play Louis Gohmert disseminating the worst kind of disinformation, gaslighting, every possible invective that I could hurl at it. Let's just see Louis Gohmert here. Well, you know what I'm talking about when you see it.
How dare you? You think we don't have hearts? It's just that when we look at the things that you're doing and you're trying to do to America, we've seen the carnage. I mean, for heaven's sake, let's take example. Democrats control the major cities that have the worst murder rates. That's right. Your ideas have been shown to get people killed. So, Congressman, your colleague there, Congressman Gohmert, just basically said that it's Democratic ideas that are getting people killed. I'd like to hear your response.
Look, my colleagues who like to talk about being tough on crime, here's an opportunity to exactly what Representative Gohmert was talking about. How about we actually pass this bill with his support that cracks down on the people, on the traffickers who are taking the guns from states with lax rules to states with tighter rules. That's one of the things in the bill. I'm not going to get into a discussion. I don't want to respond to his suggestion that Democrats are somehow responsible for this. The outrageousness of that statement speaks for itself. What I would just urge him to do, what I urge all of my colleagues to do, is to think about all of the families in our country who every time another one of these school shootings, grocery store shootings, walking down the street shootings, anything all over the country, hospital shootings, whenever they happen, think about the lives, the families that now have a hole that will never be filled. That's what we're trying to address. That's what we're trying to prevent, that we're trying to stop more families from feeling the hurt and the pain that too many people across America, including 17 families in my own community, feel every single day. That's how I would respond to that outrageous assertion.